Hello and welcome to whathifi.com. How do you create an innovative new home cinema speaker that's flatter and more discreet than ever? I'm in Maidstone, Kent to talk to Kev, who claims to have done just that with this, the new T-Series loudspeaker. I asked Kev's Julia Davidson to explain more about how they fitted conventional drive unit technology into a cabinet that looks like this. Julia, at first glance someone might think that these speakers use some kind of flat panel technology, but they're actually conventional drivers, but in a very, very thin cabinet. How did you do it?
Well, a normal conventional driver is sort of that sort of thickness, a few inches deep, and to make it so thin, we didn't want to go for a flat panel kind of speaker. We went for the conventional style, but we just kind of shuffled it all around a bit and made some of the parts really thin. So rather than a cone, as you'd have conventionally, we've got a very thin twin-layered diaphragm that's just 5mm deep, and yeah, that's using some pretty clever technology to make that really, really stiff. Also, we've relocated the suspension outside of the magnet system, so it's actually at a wider diameter than the voice coil former. So really the combination of those two make it a really, really thin mid-range driver.
And so compared to what a normal driver at this sort of size would be in terms of thickness, what have you managed to get the actual flatness of it down to?
Well, this is actually just 27mm deep,
Wow.
which is probably a third of an equivalent performance kind of normal driver.
Yeah. So when you were first set the challenge of making a flat speaker with conventional drive unit technology to now, tell me a little bit about how that process has developed and how you got from there to here.
Well, we started off really by designing the diaphragm, because that was a big challenge, getting it down from a normal cone thickness. And that took a lot of iterations of computer modelling, lots of optimisation and stuff, and then prototyping. Then we really moved on to moving a suspension out to the wider diameter, designing that suspension, which is a little bit different from what we'd normally have, and getting something, getting the overall driver to something so thin. Then we looked at the tweeter and how we could get something that would pair well with that. It's a fairly conventional tweeter, apart from the rear venting is actually to the sides. You can see this rear can, just also to save on height. And so then we put those together in this moulded cabinet, really to keep the thickness down once again, because it's such a complicated shape. That's why we had to have two moulded parts to keep it all in.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the range of speakers in the T-Series and how they can be configured in different ways.
Okay, so this is the smaller T101, which just has one of the mid-range and one tweeter. The larger T301 has two mid-range drivers, so a bit more bass there, slightly more impressive sound. And these are arranged into three different packages. One of them has 5 of these smaller satellites with a subwoofer. You can swap the 3 at the front for the larger satellite, or you can have the package that's got all 5 of the larger satellites, so that's the top package that we have.
Yes, and I understand that you have the choice of either stand mounting or wall mounting them, and that there's a clever little trick with the crossover with that.
Yeah, that's true. On the wall you get a bass boost, which is an advantage because you have more bass, but can be sort of hump-shaped, so not an ideal response. What we've done is to have slightly different crossovers for the stand mount configuration compared to the wall mount, and the difference is a couple of extra components that are hidden in the stand. So it's very easy to set up. You don't have to change anything. It just automatically rebalances it for the stand or without the stand for the wall.
So this is clearly a new direction, but from a company with a very long history of designing loudspeakers, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. KEF was founded by Raymond Cook in 1961. He was a BBC engineer, and he was all about new technologies and new materials in loudspeakers. And here, sort of almost 50 years later, we're still on the same site and still really pushing speaker technologies forward. The T-Series speakers come in 3 configurations, the T105, T205 and T305, priced £1,200, £1,500 and £1,700 respectively. We'll be reviewing them fully in proper test conditions very soon, so look out for those reviews in What Hi-Fi Sound and Vision and right here on whathifi.com.